Hello, welcome to Oasis Amps. Today, we are rebroadcasting the interview we had on EV World News. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm joined today by our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore, as well as our special guest today, Bobby Primus from Oasis Amps. Bobby, welcome to our show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're glad to have you on here. So we were originally supposed to have this show about 2 weeks ago, I think, and something happened. You bailed on us. I don't know if it was really a good reason, but you know, you live down in sunny Florida and all that. I just can't imagine why you'd have any problem down there. But you want to tell us what happened down there?
Well, Hurricane Milton had my zip code in its sights, and it came right up the road. And for the first time in 9 years, I actually fled Florida for a hurricane, and it was only because of the debris left by Helene was still on the streets. And they were saying that the storm surge would make all of that debris, the sulfurs and the wood and all of this stuff that was on the road, was going to turn it into missiles. And I just figured, it's time to go. And 9 years is enough to not have left, so I didn't want to push it. You know, I decided to go. So I went up to Georgia, where somebody very quickly called me a Florida hurricane refugee. I never. Well, I guess I was a refugee in '79 too, because I left New York, and so I was a New York refugee because I left New York and haven't been back. So this is my second time being a refugee, so that's not a bad space of time to be one. Yeah.
I guess not. All right.
So let me ask. Were there? I saw traffic. What is it? Is five or what? No, not five. Whatever that highway that runs from Florida up to New York.
75. I-75.
Oh, I-75. That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was there a lot of traffic there, and how did that sort of evacuation process go?
Well, so looking at it coming from the north, there were linemen coming to the state from all over the country. Yeah. So when I left Florida going north, looking for a hotel, it was impossible. Yeah. Because everywhere, all the way up 2 hours past Atlanta, were booked by linemen. So you saw these linemen trucks everywhere. Yeah. And they were staged to come in after the storm passed. They wouldn't move until after the storm passed. So you're leaving, and there was nowhere at all to rent. So I got near Atlanta, and I have friends and family in Covington, Georgia. And they took me in as a refugee, and so I was happy to get a place to lay my head.
Wow!
Cool.
Yeah. So did you see any Teslas stranded along the road for running out of energy?
No. Even on my way back, which was a real shocker. On my way back, I was watching the news the whole time because I was seeing if my place got hit. But I had turned all my cameras inside, and I put baggies with air in them by doors and windows. So if any water came in, I would be able to see where it came from. But anyway, when I was coming back, I knew that gas stations was out of gas. And so I'm about an hour south of Tampa, but 2 hours north of Tampa on my way coming back down. They didn't have gas either because people were leaving Tampa trying to find fuel, petrol. Yeah. Only thing running was EVs.
Yeah.
The only thing was running. So I knew this, right? And so I got gas up above Tampa. And so when I got in Tampa and past Tampa, I started looking for more gas. It didn't work. I couldn't find any fuel anywhere. Yeah. In fact, I didn't find any fuel for 7 days after the hurricane had passed. And the only vehicles that was running was EVs because we never lost power. My power would blink. Everything it went off for about maybe 5 minutes, came back on. I just lost one camera. Everything else came back up. Network came back up. Everything came back up. But So, I mean, anybody with the EV, you got power, you're charging your car, and your house is lit.
Yeah.
Everybody else is in these 2-hour lines waiting for fuel. And you think to yourself, you know, you use a lot of services, Uber Eats, or you may have your groceries delivered. You can't because nobody has gas.
Yeah.
The only thing that was working, because I found on the 8th day, I finally found some regular gas, which my car don't take.
Oh,
I got half a tank of regular, which I couldn't fill it up because I can't run regular long because car act up. But I had to order some octane boost to put in this gas. Nobody was delivering except for the Rivian electric truck from Amazon.
wow.
There you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
There you go.
So
Amazing.
I
You know,
mean, if that don't nail it, what does? You
Yeah.
know?
well, we've had a lot of talk on this channel about vehicle to grid and all the different things with people using their electric vehicles to charge their homes and stuff like that. And this is probably the first, these two hurricanes are probably some of the first time that this has really been in big play, that
Yeah,
people really
absolutely.
been able to make some use of that because that technology on the vehicles hasn't really existed for very long. You're starting
Right.
to now have some charging infrastructure or chargers you can have for the house to give you that capability if your car doesn't have it. And it's kind of interesting to see where people were able to power up they could power everything from air conditioning to refrigerators, things like that, and run it all off of their car. So,
And that's what our overall goal is to actually not only get people off the grid to be energy independent, but to earn income from all of their energy
Yeah.
independent investments.
all right.
But
Well,
yeah,
Bobby,
that was quite amazing to see because I surprisingly people were surprisingly nice um, during times that it should be stressful, like at rest stops where there was overcrowded, there was people parked in grass and on sidewalks, and everybody just trying to get off the highway to take a break or get something to drink or use the restroom. People were surprisingly nice. But 8 days after the hurricane, when you come back and you're looking for gas, people in line for this gas wasn't as friendly.
Yeah.
They weren't angry, but you could see the frustration
Yeah.
that you're in line, they're in line, because sometimes you would get in line, you wait for an hour and a half, you get to the pump, they're out of gas.
Yeah.
And so the tensions was running a little bit higher as time went on. So yeah, the people in EV were just driving by. If they had an Uber Lyft or Uber Eats service, they were making a killing because they were the only ones available to get
Only
around
one's
without
running.
any
Yeah.
limitation. Yeah.
Wow.
so tell
Fantastic.
us a little bit about Bobby. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what Oasis Amps is all about.
Oasis Amps is a digital marketplace that has as one of its primary focuses a plug share capability. So it's like Oasis Amps for EVs. So let's say if you have a Tesla and you charge your Tesla at your home, and let's say I'm from out of town or I'm too far from my home and I need a charge. And maybe I'm in an area that's a infrastructure desert, and a charging infrastructure desert. And I'm like, wow, where am I going to charge? If I open an app, I see your listings and maybe Bill's listings. I'm able to compare price and difference, and I can book either one of your charging locations. I pay you through the amp. You have to approve whether you want me to come by your house and charge my vehicle, you approve it. I come, swing by your house, I plug in and charge. And you make money from allowing me from not having to be towed, because towing an EV is a multi-hour, multi-$100 experience, because tow truck drivers don't want to pick up EVs because they don't know how to move them. They don't know
Yeah.
how to tow them. They don't know how to do anything. I have some people that work at Hertz, and they're telling me all the nightmare stories. So
Mm.
it makes you money and it saves me money, and so that's a win-win for everybody. And so we want to do that for everything. To have batteries in their house charged by solar, selling power back to the grid. So our marketplace will allow for all of those transactions to take place, and so that we can have group membership purchasing power. right? If we get a group of people together and say, hey, you want solar, we want, let's combine these orders into a huge order, and then we can deal with prices on installation, on everything, if we're doing it as a group, to drive the prices down and to make it so that everybody benefits more quickly than the way it's structured now.
All right. Now, here's one of the things. So electricity is priced differently in different states. I shouldn't say it's priced differently. Well, it is priced differently, but you have different rules about who can sell electricity. So how do you bridge that gap in the app?
Well, the app has to follow. So wait, let me back up a little bit. We're in 174 countries that we're in fact we're working on a deal with Indian local India country, the country of India. We're working on a deal with them to sell them solar power to pump water in irrigation crops, and then to charge scooters, because they don't have a lot of electric vehicles, but they got a lot of electric scooters. They're trying to get their scooters off of gas to help their air pollution problem. So we're setting up to work on that now. But for state by state, it's going to be hard to say, because once we get people in areas, even in the little municipalities may have different little micro generators that have different rules. So it's going to be a state by state, case by case basis, and really, it's just like having an Airbnb. The people who are the hosts have to make sure that they're able to do that in their community, to so that they themselves don't have any problems with the government.
Right.
Yeah. So we're
I was going to ask if it was like let's say I was in a state where I couldn't sell electricity, maybe I would just charge you by the minute for using my charger, whereas somebody else might actually charge for the actual amount of power.
Yeah, and we're doing by the minute. So you're setting your own prices.
Okay.
On your end, and you're setting what what your kilowatt per hour rate is, and you're making a profit off of that if you want to. But we're selling it by the minute rather than the kilowatt hour, because we're basically selling you the time to use it, not the energy itself. Because you may have a 48 amp or something different. So every charger won't be the same, because it's the person's own choice of what kind of chargers they have and they install. Yeah.
Got it. So explain a little bit about how your app is a marketplace. So how does somebody use it?
Well, my son, my co-founder, my son Jovan, he came up with this idea. I was in IT. I worked for Microsoft Y2K and for a few years, and I was a software engineer there. Before that, I worked as a subcontractor for IBM in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we built ATMs when ATMs was fairly new. So being in IT, and because I'm not really an office type person, I like to be out and about. I was doing field work. And so we would keep up Targets and banks and Walmarts and different big businesses to make sure that, when they go down, we bring them back up. That was our job. So I did a lot of driving. I did 5,000 miles almost every 7-8 weeks. So that was a lot of driving. So that was a lot of oil changes, and so my son says, Dad, EV would really be a good thing for you, because you get paid 50 cents a mile, and you're still hourly or salaried or whatever it is. Then you make pretty good money, but you're spending it all back into service, maintenance, and repair. Yeah. And the only problem with the concept was, I'd be in some small town USA, and there's a drugstore in the center of this town. There's a drugstore, a hardware store, a bank, and you might be there all night. And you're 50, 60 miles away from a charger, and you couldn't wait 30, 40, 50 minutes to charge a vehicle, because once they're down, you got to hit the ground running and get them back up. That's all they care about. And so he came up with this idea of if if the neighbors had it, if it was more distributed in areas that don't have Tesla superchargers. Let's say Tesla superchargers, they're near highways, they're near large shopping centers. They're not building them out in rural places, and so this way you could have a more distributed, more evenly blanket the country or any country, and find a place to charge. It may not be the fastest, but it's a place to charge. And something is always better than nothing, usually.
Yeah.
And so that was the idea, and we built it from there. I was going to Tesla because we wanted to vet the idea, and so I started going to Tesla meets and EV shows, and I was asking people, and what I realized was that these people were, you buy a Tesla, a lot of these guys are upgrading these cars. They're putting in screens in front of the steering wheel, and they're adding the lighting around the whole thing, and they're, and a lot of them are telling me, oh yeah, I got this one. They're glad to show you the new Brembo brakes that they add to it and all these different accessories. But they, like with any car enthusiast, they want to upgrade. And as soon as the new stuff come out, the screen's a little bit bigger, they want to sell their old stuff to someone who just maybe got a used Tesla to get the new stuff. Now, that's a marketplace right there, And so instead of throwing it on eBay and fighting for thousands of products, we have a marketplace for green products. We're doing solar batteries, solar panels, EV chargers, everything that allows someone to go green, to come in and deal with people who are selected for that market. They're interested in that stuff as soon as they come through the door. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about I mentioned this before we got started. The ideal candidate for selling, making their home charger available to people that are looking for that, backup or emergency spot. What's kind of the ideal?
Well, the ideal person would have solar power, solar panels, and an electric vehicle.
Okay.
And because of the prices of all of these items are dropping like a stone. They're literally, the lithium prices has dropped 60% in the last 24 months. And so what we're looking for, though, to enter the market, unlike Airbnb, to enter the Airbnb market, you got to have an extra house that you don't need, right? For us, you may not even like EVs. And he says, you know what, I can make some money off of this deal. I'm gonna just put a 240 outlet in my driveway, make it available, let people who come and charge using their own EVSE that they came with their car. Right. And so you can start at any level. If you just have solar or if you just have batteries, you can start at any level, and we are trying to integrate you into the system so that you can make money off of what you have. And so that's our whole goal. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things out there. Like, people have Airbnb started out as, kind of like rent a room at my extra room at my house, or rent my guest house, or rent my vacation home. But it's turned into people going out and buying properties specifically to use for Airbnb. Okay. It's just like Uber and Lyft started out as give somebody a ride home on your way home from work kind of thing. That was going the same direction. And now you have all kinds of people who do that full-time and beyond full-time. Okay. And you even have people now that have their own fleets of vehicles they rent out to people to do those sort of things. What do you see as the opportunity for somebody here with PlugShare?
Well, what we've seen is that there have been some people doing independent charging locations that have 5 or 6 level 3, level 4, level 3 plugs, that are not affiliated with ChargePoint or EVgo or anything. They're just interested in charging vehicles. So it looks like a Tesla supercharging location, but it's not. And we're also adding, there's a lot of condominiums that are putting in plugs in their properties and apartments and things like that. So we're not opposed to that. So anyone who has a plug, whether, I've talked to a few mechanics who are just mechanics and who are wanting to learn about EVs that say, hey, I might put a charger in my mechanic shop, so when people drive up, they can charge and they can look. And so same as car dealers, used car dealers. You can charge your car while you look around at the product. So there's many opportunities for it to not just be a home residential situation.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, when it comes to level three charging's expensive to set up because it's not just the cost of the chargers. Those level three chargers generally run just to buy the charger around $80,000. And then by the time you pay for the grid infrastructure, our local utility company tells people that to ballpark it at 150,000 total. Okay, which is probably on the high side a bit, but probably not, in all situations. There are going to be situations that's definitely that expensive for one charger. Now, if you put in 5, it probably goes down a bit because there's not as much additional infrastructure that the utility company has to run. But when you start talking about level 2 chargers, you're not talking about such a big change because it's essentially, when it's charging, it's the same power draw as about an air conditioner.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And whereas the other, if you had 5 chargers going at the same time, that'd be like powering a supermarket.
yeah.
Okay. And so you're talking a whole different level of connectivity there. And there's a lot, but I like the idea of places having level 2 chargers to get you to come and shop, browse around. But, like you mentioned, the used car dealerships. Well, they benefit a lot if all of a sudden they get a lot more traffic. The problem with used car dealerships is if people who are coming or driving EVs, they're probably not that interested in your selection of old gas cars.
Yeah, but they'll be converting to EVs also.
Eventually, yes.
Eventually they will.
Yeah.
So, and most EV drivers have second cars or want second cars. And so I think it would be a win-win,
Right.
But think of it this way, though: the advantage of having residential chargers in comparison to public chargers. So I don't know if you've heard there's been some theft of the cables for
Right.
public EV chargers. You're riding down the road now. You're coming down. You at 10%, 9%. You pull up, all the cables gone. Somebody cut all the cables.
Yeah.
Now what you want to do? You're outside of the range of your next Tesla fast supercharger. You're outside your range. You're either now going to get a tow, or you're going to need something closer. And where there's something closer, you see, because let's say if you get a tow, where are you going to tow to? If I'm cutting cables, and I've watched the video on this, if I'm cutting cables and I can cut 5 cables. I could cut 5 cables in less than 5 minutes. This is click, throw it in the trunk. The tow truck comes get me. Where am I going to next? I'm probably following the crook to the next charger that
Yeah.
he's
Right.
still cutting cables. He's riding up the road, cutting cables ahead of you. You see? Yeah, I can go to your house. I can use your one-time access code, your garage door open, your cameras in your garage will come on. It's filming the whole process. We do home automation also and garage automation. And I could see me on the screen. It's like you're going to a convenience store. I could see the whole transaction on the screen. I'm in, I'm out, I'm going. When you charge the EV, you're sitting around watching Netflix anyway. So there's really no disturbance to anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so you've prepaid. I have your identification card. I can see, parts of your identification that identifies you, the vehicle. I can see all those things. And so it's a transaction that has security built in, and we want to make it as automated and as touch-free as possible.
Yeah.
that this money just shows up in your account. That's what our goals are.
Yeah. Let me observe one thing you mentioned about people having, EV owners having I would call it a backup gasoline car. I just posted a story today where they found, this particular study found 81% of EV owners have a backup gasoline car. And of course,
that's US. That's US.
That's you, and I have to raise my hand. I'm one of them because I've got a Prius sitting up there that is the backup for us in case we need to take a longer trip. So
yeah, and but to be honest with you, I've almost always had two cars. I've just recently sold my other car. It's just because Florida car insurance rates are just through the roof. Like their homeowners and mortgage, flood insurance is just through the roof.
Yeah.
So I've always had two cars, but I think too that as EV range goes up, which it is starting now, even the Chevrolet Blazer LT, I think level is just came out doing 320 miles of range.
Yeah.
For less than $27,000 after the rebate. So I think that's going to change as charging speeds increase and ranges increase. And so I do think like some people just like two cars. You may have a SUV, but you might want to have something smaller too, just to buzz around.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what we do.
Yeah,
we've got a Fiat 500e, which is a little,
nice.
two-door. And it's our buzz around town car. That's what we use.
Yeah.
90% of the time is what we use. So let's talk about the app itself now. If I wanted to participate in this program, what are the steps for me to doing that?
You go to, well, there's depending on, let me back up a little bit. We have a commission program where you can earn commission if you recommend somebody else. So let's say if David had the app already, he would share with you his CR code. You would go to the App Store, Google Play or Apple Store, and download the app and install it. And every time you make a purchase, he would earn a percentage of your purchase price. And so that we're doing that to try to increase recruitment and to get our numbers up so that we can have memberships that we can power by.
Right.
So yeah, it's available in your Google Play Store and your Apple Store.
But if I didn't, I didn't know Dave. I just watched this broadcast, and I would go to the Google Store or Apple, and I would type in what?
Oasis Amps.
Oasis Amps. Okay.
Oasis Amps. Yeah. And you'll see our app there with some pictures, and it's protected by Google and Apple Store policies. And so, even though there's no cost for the app, everything's refundable and everything is monitored by them. So it has to be on the up and up.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that so? This is a free app. It's not like I have to have an account to.
No.
Okay. No. All right.
It is absolutely free. And that's the thing. We just launched a YouTube channel, and I'll be honest with you. I've been being in IT for so many years. It's amazing to me that people run a YouTube channel and still get people to pay them in Patreon. It's like you're getting double checks, right? And we don't have any of that. We're trying to earn people money. We're trying to save them money on the front end, but earn them money on the back end. And we don't even like saying it like that. We want them to earn money first, if we can. If they already have something, we want them to earn money before they put another investment into their own home.
Okay, so I've got a home here, and I want to do this, right? Because there are no chargers near me in this area. This is kind of a charging black hole, despite my efforts to try to get ones put in commercial. So, I want to go solar, and I want to have a backup battery, and I want to then have in the driveway accessible to somebody, to come in and who wants to use my thing. Your company would help me do all of that, get all that together?
Okay, well, first, you don't need that at all. If you
Right.
just want to install a 240-volt charger in your driveway, you could just do
Okay.
that and use the app and make money. So
Okay.
if you want to make money before you start investing in other things, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Um, Now, the way you describe it, that's the ideal situation because, yes, we would take all of those products because you've already purchased them and find a way for you to earn money off of each step of those.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, to get started,
So
it costs you a couple of $100 to install a 240 amp outlet in your driveway.
okay.
Yeah.
And all I would do is basically what, just have a plug there, and then they would take the little charger that came like I have that came with
Yeah.
my car, and that's what I'd
Right.
make the connection with. Okay.
Yes, and then of course, it's like you were saying with Airbnb. You start out renting a room, and you say, "Hey, I can make money out of this. I'm going to upgrade." So then you
Right.
may turn that 240 amp outlet into a standard charger, maybe a Ford charger,
Right.
or something that's going to put out more amperage and be able to monitor the control of who and what time your charging sessions are. So we expect people to, as they see they can make money, want to invest in themselves because all of this is on your own property. You're making your property more valuable to future buyers who are going to come into an EV world.
So would this work? Let's say I'm an apartment complex owner.
Mhm.
How would this work for them? Go into, get the complex owner to say, I'm going to put in 5 or 6 of these things around the parking lots and things, and then I would make money off of selling, letting people, my renters or outsiders for that matter, come in and charge at it. I mean, this is it, because that's a problem we're trying to solve here in the area is how do we get people that live in shared housing, multifamily housing, how do we get them a spot, to charge their vehicle?
Well, once you have the app, once you install the app, you're both a host and a guest. You could be a host that you can host your plug to someone else. You just
Right.
put in the days that you want to charge and your availability, what times you want, what times you don't, it won't show up. And if you want to be a guest, you just look and see who you want to book from. You hit book the appointment for that charger, and they'll approve it. You pay for it through the app, and so everything's being done behind the scene. Once you list your availability for your charger, you're done, unless you want to change your time that you're available for people to use your
Okay.
charger. And so we're trying to make it as simple as possible. And because of software, as new things come out, we're going to make it easier and easier for all of these transactions to take place where you open your phone, you go in the app and you look at how many people you referred and how much you made off of them. You want to have details because you can't track anybody. Even we can't track anybody. But you'll be able to see how many people that you earn money from this month, and it's paid out monthly. And so that's what you're looking forward to, that money to go into your account every month.
Yeah. What would you, like if you run a restaurant business, you have all the way you figure out how much money to make in a restaurant business is you count up all the costs, right? And then you tack a percentage on top of that. So
Right.
let's say in this particular case, we know here that we pay about 12 cents or so a kilowatt hour, which is really cheap compared to many other parts of the country. What would be the recommended? Do I double that? Do I make it 30%? Any guidelines for how much you would make sense for you to take and, make your
Well,
margin?
like was said earlier, electric prices all across the country is different.
Right.
So let's say if you have a baseline of 15 cents per kilowatt hour,
Yeah,
or
which is
whatever it
about
is.
it's about the national average, about 15, nearly 16 cents an hour.
Yeah. And so if you go buy a Tesla supercharger, you'll know what your high end is, right? And so to me, if you're coming in under that, you're making a killing, right?
Okay.
Because if I sit at your house for an hour, and I make $25, $30, $35 for an hour, and I haven't done a lick of work, I call that a great job, right?
Right.
Because you've only paid, you might have paid $5 for that charge, maybe $10. So that means you profited, if you sold it for $35 an hour, you profited $25 just to let somebody sit in your driveway. And you know they're not leaking oil because they don't have any gas in the car, they don't have any oil in the car. So
Right.
it's easy money.
And
Right?
then I can have a coffee maker in the garage,
Well,
sell
that's right.
coffee, and sell them muffins while we're at it.
That's right. So on some markups, you get to have some stuff to mark them up, right? You go to Costco's, clean them
I'm
out, and come
I'm
home, mark it
thinking.
up.
You could sell them some Delta 8. That's the only thing that's legal here in Nebraska. We aren't a
Really?
marijuana friendly state
Oh,
yet.
wow.
Right.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to be responsible for somebody getting on marijuana and then driving.
Driving, yeah.
well, if they have
Yeah.
That might
FSD,
come back. If they
Yeah.
depends if
have
they
what?
have FSD or not.
Oh, yeah. Or you gotta marry somebody who will go up home in Florida and have them drive while you
Yeah.
inhale
There you
after
go.
them. I
There you
guess I
go.
don't know.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
full FSP.
That's going to be the next thing. I'm sure it's already happened. Is driving and videoing somebody who's smoking weed while their car is driving itself.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'll stick with the coffee maker and the
yeah,
muffins.
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go, Bill.
yeah.
Yeah,
Any jail time I don't do, I'm happy about right there. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
there
going
you
for.
go.
No jail time. Yeah.
There you go. But no, it's a clever notion. Well, and a lot of it, as you were said earlier, you looked at your plug sharing as being like a plan B. You know, when the level 3 chargers are not working anywhere, and so you're having to resort to a level 2, because a level 2 is not going to be a real quick charge, but it might get you
Right.
enough charge. You can get down the road to the next working level 3 charger.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely. And,
that, that
and and realizing that Tesla's uptime is in the is in the mid to high 90s.
Yeah.
Everybody else's is in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, they
right.
have EVgo, ChargePoint, Electrify America. You can roll up on them, and they can have a variety of issues. And then, of course, you have your vandalism also. So, I mean, and as he was saying, that there's infrastructure deserts throughout this country and throughout the whole planet, as actually.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're the Oasis. We're the you don't want to be towed option. And so as we make that more common, we think that people will prefer the safety of, because most of the people that have EVs are in really nice neighborhoods. You don't really see them a
Right.
lot in more difficult because of the simple price of it. And
Right.
so if I can go somewhere and get some peace and quiet, I can get some shut eye for an hour, take a little nap, and jump up and go and not be worried. That's going to be my options.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, in the used car business, they don't seem to fall much below $25,000, because once they hit that $25,000 and they're eligible for that $4,000 federal tax credit, they seem to sell pretty damn fast.
And sell fast. And that's why I think that this Blazer is going to be the game changer of game changers. EVs well, there's been a couple of things, and I don't know how long you want
It
to
was
go,
I
but
think it's the Equinox you're talking about that they just announced it's
the Equinox,
$35,000, and then you
you're
get the
right. You're
7,500.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Blazer is the one that they should have just discontinued it after that first review that the guy did, where they had 33 problems with the car.
Yeah.
It was
So
crazy.
yeah, that didn't go well at all. That was one of the worst car releases ever.
But I think that the prices of vehicles are going to continue to tank. There's a lot of Elon Musk is bringing down EV prices because he keep lowering the price,
Yeah.
and then Hertz went in behind that and ordered all of these electric vehicles. They didn't have the infrastructure to charge them, And then on top of that, they didn't instruct people how to use them
How to do
properly.
it.
And so you have a lot of dissatisfaction with that. And so now they're dumping tens of thousands of EVs on the market, the used car market, and it's affecting prices. And of course, because the EV is not technically a vehicle as has been known, it's more of a laptop with a motor, right? Because it's going to
Yep.
behave more like a consumer electronic than an automobile.
Yeah.
And that is now having an effect on ICE engines, because once EVs have the range, power, and price of an electric vehicle, of a combustion vehicle, there'll be no reason to buy an ICE vehicle. There'll be no upside to buy an ICE vehicle. If the range is the same, if the price is the same, why am I doing all this maintenance?
Ford,
And if you count,
yeah, I was going to say Ford just announced that the price on their iTransit van is the same for both the electric and the gasoline version.
Yeah.
Parity.
And so if you realize that in the 150,000 miles of driving an EV, what you pay in difference for oil changes, timing belts, transmission flushes, the difference in gas prices, you've already spent the $20,000 that I would have to spend after 150,000 miles if I had to replace my battery, right? I would replace my battery for $20,000, but you spent that over the last, and you don't feel it because you drip dropping it every week into the gas tank and into all of these maintenance. Because like I said, I did tech support. I was doing oil changes almost every 2 months, you know, and it just gets so to the point where I can go all that time without giving the dealerships all of this money. And then, you know, that car gets 150,000 miles out of it. I could sell it and start over rather than doing big services to it, you know?
Okay. So have you done any projections? I mean, I assume this is going to depend on the neighborhood. It's going to depend on what the competition is, you know, around, you know, how many superchargers there might be or how many easy goes or, you know, whatever. Any idea what a person might think? I mean, how many times might they have somebody sitting in their drive, and I know unknown, a stranger sitting in their driveway charging their car, and what they might, you know, a couple $1,000s in a year or a few hundred. Any ballparks there?
You would figure if somebody would, you're going to charge an EV maybe 4 times a month. Let's say we had 150,000 people doing 4 times a month. On average, I think the average home user would make several $100s per month.
Okay.
Easily. It could, you know, we've done, again, it's just so much variation. It could be a couple of $1,000s. It just depends.
Right.
Sure. On where you are and what kind of demand you have around you. And that's going to be the thing, is demand. How much you charge. And that's why I say I would check what the Tesla superchargers in your area is selling first.
Okay.
What they're charging you for a kilowatt hour. And then come in under that. And then, of course, as the market starts getting more full, you'll have you and Bill in the same area. You all know now, like gas stations competing against each other, you know. And so you won't be able to go sky high because you have superchargers level 3, which is going to be primary.
Right.
But then you're going to have what's my backup prices is going to be. So yeah, we're expecting people to earn, you know, if not $1,000, maybe $2,000 a month with good traffic.
Okay.
And that's just from plug share. When you start adding in selling back to the grid and being off grid, which is our goal, to be completely off the grid, we're thinking about maybe $15,000-$20,000 per year.
Okay.
that you can save and earn.
Right.
And for you not doing anything else, that's a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
And because I, you know, like I said, do tech support. I think AI is coming for your job. You know, just like ATMs, a lot of bank tellers lost their jobs from ATM. You remember before ATMs, you used to have to have a bank book and go into the bank for anything you needed, right? You know, and so I think AI is going to put a lot of people out of work, and I think it's going to be the most valuable thing I think we're going to have, and this is me just projecting, I think, is when we recommend something to someone else that, let's say if you told me, hey, you know, this company called Amazon back in the day, nobody wanted to fool with Amazon because they didn't understand it. And I said, you know what, go down to Circuit City or go down to Best Buy, take a look at this TV, get the model number, order it off of Amazon, you'll get it. People couldn't conceive it. Now it's an everyday thing. But imagine if Amazon would have given you a commission off of everything that you told me to buy off Amazon, you'd be sitting pretty. And if you had several of them, right, you'd be earning some income when AI come get your job. But this is talking from a computer tech support frame of mind. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to ask this. We're talking about the customer making money now. Where does Oasis Amp make its money then? I assume you take a portion of those transactions then?
Yes, we take a portion of the seller and a portion of the buyer on the back end, but we give portion, if you were referred, we give a portion of what the purchaser purchased to the referral. And so that's where that money comes from. So we take less on that end to help those who help us.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Nice. It has a bit of a network marketing flair there with it.
Yeah.
You could have that go 6 levels deep.
Yeah.
And when you really get to the level, you get a pink Tesla.
Yeah.
Well, we have different levels of commission too, you know, to start you out on the free level, because the portion that we just spoke about was just for plug share. But we also, and that's the free level, that's just for plug share. But we're going to have other levels too. So let's say if you want a portion of, let's say if you referred Bill and Bill say, hey, I want to be part of the group that buys solar panels or solar batteries. Now that's going to take work because the automation can't do that, because you got to, you know, find out what everybody wants, corral everybody together, then try to, you know, it's going to take a lot of people work on the back end to get all of those contracts filled. So we have different levels depending on what you want to be a part of. And as your level goes up, not only do the products that you can earn money go up, but also your percentage of how much you get as a proportion of your commission goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we're really trying to help everybody. We my son and I, we really sat down and said, we want to make money, but we want to help other people make money too. We don't want them to regret that they become a part of the part of our organizational structure. We want them to always see benefit in it. Unlike many things that we see that people just take your money and they just think you just always have to do it, you know? Yeah.
Now, seems like a pretty good plan.
Now, if we could just figure out how to put Bitcoin or ADA in there, particularly Cardano ADA.
Yeah. That's next.
God. You make it so you can only buy electricity with crypto. That would really throw everybody off. Let's make it really complicated. Oh man.
I'll be living in the dark.
Yeah, no question. Anyways, Bobby, I want to thank you for coming on today. This has been really enlightening, and it's really a unique program you've got going on, and there's obviously some benefit to it. You know, and it's funny because you're filling a niche. I'm not sure people understand it's necessary.
I think it's going to blow up.
I think it's going to take some education to make people understand it a little more.
It's going to be common one day, and we're just hoping to get there to help educate people to earn money off of their investments, you know, and so that's what we're looking forward to. I want to thank both of y'all for having me. It's been awesome. I've really enjoyed talking to y'all. I'm long-winded. I apologize again. My New York
No
shows up
problem.
and I talk a lot, so I apologize. I'll go off on
That's
a
great.
tangent in a minute. So thank y'all so much.
You're welcome, everybody.
In this tutorial video, I'm going to show you how you can upgrade to the latest version of Windows 11 on any computer. And it doesn't matter if your computer supports Windows 11 or not. It'll work on both supported PCs and unsupported PCs. And you can follow this guide if you're currently using Windows 10 or any of the older versions of